I can't believe it. We did it. We made it to another show. Kerry Gorgone, how are you? I noticed a little something different in this department. What's going on in this region?
Backed my hair off. About every 5 years, I used to get fed up with it and just cut it all off. So I was overdue.
Well, I think it looks swell. Congratulations on your new haircut. My hair is, I'd like to speak to a manager, but hey, why don't we do a show today and talk about some things?
Hi, Joanne. Yes, I cut it off. Look at that. The hairdresser was like, really? You really want me to? She was worried I was going to cry or something. I'm like, no, I'm super good. Super want to. Thanks.
Wow, look at everybody. So yeah, it's one of the things I want to say about doing this show is when we did the backpack show, the emphasis was on having a guest. And so everything hinged on a guest. So sometimes Kerry would find a bunch of guests. Sometimes I would find a guest. Sometimes Kerry would find another bunch of guests. Then I would find a guest. And it looks great. And that's how it went. So now with the Play for Time show, what we don't run into is the mistake of, some guests not showing up or some guests not being as great as we thought they were. The challenge is that we also then have to put together segments. Now I have a little bit more time on my hands all of a sudden, and I could be out there just getting up segments, but a lot of times I need my co-host to come up with these segments as well. And you've been kind of busy this week. It's been a week for you, huh?
So it's one of those weeks where we've got it's boring work stuff, but we've got like a site migration, which means a lot of content that needs some heavy editing to get into alignment with our brand voice, yada, yada, yada. Somebody's on vacation, covering for them. I'm in a leadership program at work, which has a whole project, so that's ramping up. It's like a lot of crazy town stuff. And then just my own stuff. We've all got our own stuff, but no complaints, because my favorite times of every day are the days that we go out and adventure and I get to go see something different. And it doesn't have to be something major. It can be something small. Like we've gotten into this weird habit of looking for burial grounds and like cemeteries, because you have to find them and know where they are before the right weather comes. You can't be like out spelunking looking for cemeteries just because it's like a perfect foggy day. We want to like know where the good ones are. So we started doing some of that.
It is funny, like we kind of get into runs. We were doing a bunch of Pokestop stories, which will be a thing that we keep doing even a bit more. But we have been like history. We've tracked a lot of history. We track women's history and that sort of a thing. And then sort of by bent of my photography, there are certain kinds of events that lead us up to something. That's correct behavior. Sometimes, by bent of photography, things lean up to, things that we find interesting. So for instance, I have now a variety of bookmarks. See, Google had this feature that they, for reasons no one knows, decided not to have anymore, where you could really see events quite easily through a Google search. And what I found is that in searching, I find these kind of bizarre, interesting small town things. So for instance, tomorrow, I will go and find there's these people are having this kind of Nerf battle thing at their facility. So whether or not I can convince Kerry and Dan to go with me, I will go up and probably shoot a Nerf battle for a segment for the show. And I just get these by searching Google and various websites, newspapers, and stuff like that. Kerry, do you want to talk about the fateful way that we found our way into today's segment?
So best laid plans and all that, we tried browsing around these many sort of different websites like you're talking about. Basically the Google search, but then you have to click through and find some area events because there's not like one helpful place for them anymore. And one was like, hey, bring your cool classic car by this place on Saturday morning, we'll hang out. It wasn't like a formal thing, not like a car show. It was more like a casual hangout for enthusiasts. And we're like, that's cool. That's actually kind of like right up my alley, right? So we go and there's nobody there. We wait a little bit and then we see one like really cool car come by and then leave because they must have seen there was no one there too. And we're like, oh, heck, nobody, this is it. This is a bust. And so you have to be in our position. It was like stupid early on Saturday morning. There's literally nothing else around where we are. And now we've got cameras ready and nothing to shoot. So I ended up saying, hey, you like cities. What's a city that's drivable from here that you haven't been to before? And Concord, New Hampshire was the one. I don't think I've set foot in Concord, New Hampshire for like 20 years. So we thought, hey, let's drive up and take a peek. By the way, we're getting a lot of love for cemeteries. Joanne says, cemeteries have always piqued curiosity in humans. Lots of little ones in New Hampshire. Cool local cemetery in Northwood, New Hampshire. All right, so next time we're sitting in a car with nowhere to go, Northwood is a possibility. But this day we came up with Concord. Do you want to talk about how it went?
It was crazy. So Kerry says, let's find a place we haven't been. Concord. I said, sure. I haven't been to Concord for like 100 million years. I think I had a cousin, Jimmy Preston, who lived up that way and worked at the college in Concord. Concord's the state capital of New Hampshire as well. And so, and I think you'd mentioned that you'd been there a long, long time ago for some legal thing, because when you were a lawyer. And so we drove, and then as we're kind of pulling into the spot, Kerry's driving, and I'm in the passenger side trying to be like a good co-pilot. I look and I'm like, I don't know why, but they just blocked off the street over there. Maybe it's like a protest or something. We wandered into a car show, like a full-on car show. So we went looking for cars and coffee where there'd be one or two cars. We found a whole damn show. So this is a couple minutes of that and kind of the experience. And then we'll come and talk to you on the other side of it. So let's watch a car show. Let's see it, bro. I want to know who dude, I got see New Hampshire and get here on your feet quad. You should roll right down there. Got it.
We did 16.
Really? Yeah.
We had the 2 cars and the pickup truck, and the rest of them
The rest
vehicles
is
and
stay.
trailers.
Walked right in your shot, but yeah, got it. So I think the benefit to coming to a car show is that you get to see not only just cool cars, you get to interact with people. You get to talk to them about the cars that matter to them and why they matter to them. We talked to this guy for a very long time about his collection of military support vehicles. So he had like 2.5-ton trucks. He had a telephone pole truck that has an auger in the back that can actually still land a telephone pole. He had a Jeep for his wife. And we just learned so much from these people. But the other thing you see a ton of are photographers practicing, kind of getting cool shots, having a reason to get out and take some shots. And that's really fun. That's playing for time, right? Like, because all these people, some are into restoring their vehicles, some are into meeting with people who have the same vehicle. Like, you can see sort of Mustangs clustered up and little Japanese trucks clustered up and all that. And some of these people are here because they want to talk about the stuff they're into with the people that like-minded. We didn't get it on film, but we talked to this photographer right early on in this who was just excited to meet other photographers. And I think when you go to events, you get a chance to find like-minded people, even if the event itself isn't exactly your thing. I don't have a classic car to put in one of these things, and I don't know a lot about cars, but I like people who are passionate about something, and I feel like where else are you going to find a bright green shocker with gull wings? You just don't want Dan to like think that he's going to get blamed for those crappy edits that I make. That's what I think.
It just is a different style. And if people notice, then, I just want to make it clear. But that was really cool. So, yeah, we literally pulled into Concord, parked, got out, and boom, car show, full on car show that covered like 2 city blocks. And we started the day wanting to go to a car event and feeling disappointed. And look what happened.
We lucked right into it. And this is the one really weird detail. There was one really weird detail. For reasons I don't even a little bit understand, they didn't block off the roads. So in a normal car show, and I've been to like 5 car shows now, which is weird now that I say that out loud. But you could be sitting there trying to take a shot. And next, there's like a car getting ready to smack into you. And that happened multitudes of times, such that we were like, you had to kind of have your head on a swivel to try to take a photo or film. You felt that way too, I imagine.
Literally. So the street was blocked off, but there was someone there moving the barricade out of the way so that like latecomers to the show could bring their car in. And there also were like cars that were just sitting there, I think from the night before, that they couldn't move. So you had like random ass regular Honda Civic or something next to like a Barracuda from 1970. It was a very interesting experience. But no, I loved it. And it was really crowded. Oh, the guy that you talked to for a long time told us about something he probably shouldn't have, but definitely has. So that was interesting. We learned about like contraband.
Yeah. So it turns out he collects the weirdest like element of military vehicles. He support vehicles only. So like telephone pole trucks that drive pole holes in the ground and that kind of a thing, which you don't think about much when you say I collect military vehicles. Well, he also got a kind of a test nuclear bomb. And it's a smallish one. And it was kind of around near the end of the Cold War. There was this idea that if we had a bunch of little nukes scattered around somewhere, you could launch them like very short distances. And they could do things like take out infantry, like bounce on the ground. It was like strange ass stuff. Well, it turns out you're not really supposed to have them as a civilian, even though they're fake, even though they're like just, kind of a exercise item. And he brought one onto Pease Air Force Base, and the base commander evidently caught wind that, or someone who reports to the base commander caught wind that it was there. And what he said back, but he was getting ready to leave anyway, but he said, do you want to let the base commander know that you let this onto your base? Or do you want me to just drive off and we'll both forget about it? And so we kind of got out of it. But what a crazy story at a car show.
Yeah, that was a new experience. So the whole thing was different than car shows I'd experienced before. And it wasn't what I thought we were going to do that day, but it was so much better than what I thought we were going to do that day that it was one of those lessons where it's like, just go. Sometimes just say yes to the adventure and see where you land, because it could be better than what you thought you were going to end up doing.
Definitely felt like that. And the other thing, we had a similar experience. If you remember, when we went to Sturbridge Village, we got up crack of dawn. Before dawn, it was dark out when we drove off, because we were trying to get to Lexington for the first battle of the American Revolution, 250th celebration of it, and could not find a way to park anywhere. It was just understandable. Like, we just didn't understand the logic and how to do it. And it wasn't really clearly laid out on the website. So then we said, fine, let's go down the street to Concord. Nobody'd be there. They blocked the whole city off. And so Kerry just kind of Hail Marys it and says, let's go out to Sturbridge Village. That's kind of cool. We had an awesome time. So in the philosophy of the show, in the philosophy of Play for Time, the idea is, we could probably still kind of make something happen. Like Jackie's saying, these are the best kinds of days, really. Like, that's true. I mean, it's definitely that experience where, if you don't set your sights on the specific thing, you can still probably find a way to make something happen, right?
And we also, in doing these things, have come across like little mini adventures on the way. So we went out, I can't remember now how many months ago, a couple months ago, to a book mill. It's an old mill that they'd converted into a bookstore that had something like 20,000 used books in it, just completely stuffed in this old mill. It was so interesting, but the drive out was gorgeous. So many small, beautiful little places. And we saw a little candy shop that was painted bright pink. And so we had to stop in and be like, what's the story with this candy shop? And it turned out it had been a diner before, and they were sick of people coming in and asking for the diner because it wasn't there anymore, and it had been there for like 50 years. Now it's a candy shop. So they painted it pink to draw people's attention to the change. So all those things, just from going one place, if you're willing to get off the path you're on for a little bit, detour, you can find some really fun stuff. So every day can have a small adventure. That's when we planned to go away from where we were and like make an intentional kind of longer trip. But we've done plenty of smaller adventures where we go to towns within a half an hour's drive and run into a protest or a cool local event or a neighborhood we've never seen before in a city we've been to a million times, like El Punto in Salem. So these small adventures, it's not usually a pre-planned thing. Usually it's a last-minute choice that takes us down a road we didn't expect.
Absolutely. It's very much like a pickup game. You just sort of, guess here's where we are. The only thing you have to do is just be willing to, take a diversion or something, or willing to say, hey, that's just a couple towns away. It does test your kind of flexibility. It tests your resilience as a human being, because some people do not want to deviate from the plan, and that's tricky for them. It's hard for them, and I get that. Other people, they never have a plan ever, and they're like a bouncer, and that's hard for me. Like, I need at least a semblance of a plan. So I think that, we learn our tensions and our tolerances in those kinds of
What percentage of a plan do you need?
I'm not answering that, counsel.
I think if I have like 11% of a plan, I can go, or maybe like 25% of a plan. Like, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. Joanne says this is the challenge of living in the West, Oregon. Small destinations are a lot farther apart. The compactness of New England is nice for this sort of trip. Completely true. I have lived other places. I even lived outside of Nashville, and the opportunities there for things like this, I had exhausted in probably the first 6 months. Like, I'd toured every historic manse. I had gone to all the museums. I had even done a scavenger hunt downtown. I had done it all in like 6 months, maximum a year. So agreed, you need to be someplace that's got some spots you can get to.
No, totally so. And Jackie says, that they're more of a hybrid person, flexible planner type person. And, I think it's, you're right, Joanne, about the locale. New England is just, I can go one town away to Merrimack, which has a couple neat things to look at, another town to Newburyport, et cetera, et cetera. Leslie says it could be lots of fun to have a plan and then have to come up with a new plan. Oh yeah, for sure. This morning, when I woke up, I wasn't feeling super well this morning when I woke up, but when I woke up, it was pouring, and now the sun's kind of, look at that. That's God's outdoors. So, sometimes you have to kind of be weather attentive to the plans as well.
That's true, because, okay, so like I mentioned before, the cemeteries, to bring it back around, we have occasionally come across an amazing cemetery, I'll be like, oh, this is so cool. Maybe you should photograph it. And you'll say, nah, this time of day, the light is bad, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I'm never thinking like that. I'm just like, this is a really cool thing. So now we have both pieces. We know where the cemeteries are located. We're always on the lookout. Then when you wake up and the day has fog, however thick, then we can go, now's the time. Occasionally we'll even go if it's raining because the rain looks cool and moody in that situation, or the rain lets up and you end up with fog. So yes, it's like being agile, I guess. You have a backlog of things you'd like to photograph, and when the conditions are right, you just grab that item and go.
And obviously, it kind of relates to the things that you're interested in too. If you love live music, then if you're somewhere where there's a lot of live music, then you can expect to see lots of cool, fun bands. And if you really love eating, there are places where there's piles of restaurants around and you can kind of try out new foods and things like that. Or if you really want outdoor adventure and action, there are places where there's lots more action to be had. So I think the other thing to keep looking for is that they can overlap. Like even what Joanne's saying, like what you can't do maybe there is watch war reenactments or something. But what you can do is X. By the way, there's a event, unless I missed it, there's an event with tank reenactment for World War II tanks down the way. And it was one of the ones I thought of as well. But, that's the thing is you kind of have to go searching for it. It's not like people call your house and say, hey, there's this cool thing coming up. How do you find or decide what topics you want to cover for the show?
I mean, I tried finding that tank event and people just kept saying tanks. And I said, you're welcome. And then I never found the event. I was just making a stupid joke. No, I don't know. I have themes of things that I like. I love history. I love women's history in particular. I like weird little pockets of local history that you're not likely to see elsewhere. Because I mean, like every city has a museum of science and or natural history. Every city has certain things. I try to look for the things that exist only in the city that I'm visiting and try to check those out. So those are sort of my first choice things. I don't like crowds as much as you do. You like photographing. I'm not scared or anything. I just kind of don't like it being like in someone's way all the time and being jostled and stuff. So it's never my first choice to go to a really big crowded event. I'll look for smaller niche events like the psychic fair and magic. Was it psychic fair and stuff that we went to where they were selling like witchy type products and also telling fortunes and also selling books, or the Comic-Con event we recently went to at the Haverhill Public Library, which was really cool. We have some footage from that too we'll be sharing. So we've done a few different things like that. And I love those weird little pockets of where you are that other people might not get to see.
Totally true. I found the event again. It's at the American Heritage Museum, and it starts 9 a.m. tomorrow. And what's kind of fun about these sorts of events and searching about that tank in the front is a Sherman tank, and they were very popular in World War II. It was, if you saw the movie Fury with Brad Pitt and several other people, that's the tank that Fury was, and it's a Sherman. So these were they were inferior to a lot of the German tanks, and they still had to be out there and fight, like knowing that they couldn't really go toe to toe with the German tanks. So it becomes kind of a fun thing to explore. I'm not like some World War II buff. I love that movie Fury. So I would go see it kind of to see that. I would go to see it to see what's it take to photograph a tank, like what's a good angle for it. And, Kerry will spin around and get these cool motion videos that she does all the time that you never think about until I'm sitting there editing them and I watch her kind of like go in a circle around people and stuff like that. So cool. So we just use these topics. Like we don't have to be deeply into the topic. We have to be deeply into wanting to share the topic with you. I think that's how I see it.
Or learn about it ourselves. I mean, it's that way too. So Jackie says, rainy days have completely changed the light in my greenhouse flower pics. They kind of glow different. Yeah, definitely. It's like a diffused light or something. And you could definitely talk more about that. My grandpa was a tank gunner, but Korean War era. And my dad was in a tank too, but he was doing radio stuff, like a radio tech.
in World War II, my gramps was a radar guy. He worked down in Bermuda on the first radar system for what used to be called the Army Air Services, which became the Air Force. So he was, the Bermuda is famous for ships disappearing and all that because of like the Bermuda Triangle. And he says, well, one reason that ships would disappear is that radar was so new we didn't know what we were doing. So it's probably my gramps' fault ships were disappearing, but down there, and it's become a what do you call it? A superstitious, legendary thing. Anything you want to bring up on the way out the door, Kerry?
I was just thinking you were telling a story about one of your grandparents. It reminded me of the backpack show and how you used to end that show.
That is how we used to end the show. That's for darn sure. I should probably come up with a better way to end this show.
See you, bro.